Oil prices slide to lower than $28 a barrel as investors weigh up the lifting of sanctions against Iran. For Iran, the economic gains are immense. We'll tell you all you need to know. And as Taiwan elects its first female president, can she revitalise the island's flagging economy? Our team in the region has the latest. Hello and a very warm welcome. This is World Business Report. I'm Sally Bundock. Also in the programme, Tata Steel is said to be poised to announce the loss of over 1,000 jobs in the UK later this morning. We'll have more on that in just a moment. Let's start though with Iran's President Hassan Rouhani calling it an economic turning point as sanctions over its nuclear programme are lifted. He said it's time for the country to build and grow, promising that this year will be a prosperous one for Iran. Mr. Rouhani said his country needs up to $50 billion in foreign investment per year to reach its ultimate goal of 8% annual growth. Now, it's a new beginning at an ideal time because Iran could be seen as one of the largest untapped markets, and it has a very youthful population. The economic dividend for Iran and its potential business partners, therefore, is huge. The US estimates that more than $100 billion of funds could be unblocked. The oil and gas industry, banking sector, transport, tourism are services that will likely benefit from foreign investment. Here's more detail. So that gives you a bit of background. For more analysis, I'm joined by Azadeh Miskarian, who's head of the Iran desk at the international sanctions specialist Sai Wala. Thank you so much for coming in. So it truly is a historic moment for Iran. There's no doubt about that. From your perspective, just talk us through what this means for this country.
Well, as you correctly mentioned, Iran has a very young population. Iranian market has been unfortunately cut off from the international world because of the imposition of sanctions. The sanctions started by the imposition of UN sanctions, followed by the drastic EU and the US measures, and this is truly a new beginning. Iran has a very young population, a very sophisticated population, and being one of the holder of largest oil and gas reserves, Iran holds wonderful opportunities for those interested into investing into Iran or returning to the Iranian market. The opportunities are, of course, not limited to oil and gas. Technology, infrastructure, transport, as well as aviation and tourism are, of course, areas in which Iran is looking to expand into.
Now, when we look at the energy markets, of course, financial markets already reacting to this story, the price of oil sinking quite a bit. How quickly can Iran boost its output, presumably fairly quickly?
What we're hearing from the Iranian side of the deal is that they're adamant and ready to start producing at least 500,000 extra barrels per day. Everybody would know that Iran was significantly cut off from the oil market, and the Iranian economy is still oil dependent, although actions are being taken to make it much more less oil reliant. But other players in the market in the Middle East have taken significant benefit from Iran's lack of presence, and this is a new beginning. The US embargo on Iranian oil has been shifted. Back in the day, 1 in 5 barrel in the EU was coming from Iran. So I think Iran is ready to at least start producing 500,000 barrels per day, and that is going to be shortly followed by another 500,000.
And just briefly, from the point of view of that young population that's sophisticated, that presumably wants to consume a lot of goods made in the West and in the Far East as well, how quickly will that take place, i.e. is the legal framework in place for foreign companies to just come in and sell goods, etc.?
Well, the legal framework, as far as the lifting of sanctions are concerned, has taken place over the weekend. The implementation day, of course, gives body to the JCPOA that was reached in July 2014. As far as the actual practical moving of business into Iran is concerned, I think it may take a little longer. Many businesses have, of course, been traveling to Iran. Delegations from many European countries have been entering the Iranian market, testing the waters to see how it's going to go. However, I think a lot has been window shopping at the time being. It's going to take a little longer. Iranian side of the deal, I think, will have to take some steps as far as Iranian law is concerned to make the system a little more transparent, a little more confident for foreign businesses to move into Iran and hopefully begin to see more investment into the market.
Okay, Azadeh, fascinating to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming in. And as you were hearing from Adnan earlier, the US has imposed new sanctions over a missile test. That's to do with another aspect, nothing to do with the nuclear program. It's to do with ballistic missile testing. So a separate issue altogether. But let's now talk about Taiwan, which has just elected its first female president. 59-year-old Tsai Ing-wen is a former law professor who now faces a lot of challenges, including whether the island should get even closer to China, its main trading partner. So can she revitalise the island's flagging economy? Rico Hizon is in Singapore with all the latest. Lovely to see you, Rico. So it's a huge deal that she got this top job. The question is now, can she deliver?
That's right. Deliver is the main question right now, Sally. Reviving the economy, GDP contracted in the last quarter of 2015 and is estimated to have grown at just 1% last year. And Sally, her campaign emphasized on innovation and improving trade relations with Southeast Asia, Japan, and the United States. And earlier I spoke to Ross Feingold in Taipei about the main risks to the economy and the perception about Ms. Tsai in the business community.
There's a lot of risks here. The data recently for Taiwan's economy, especially exports, is not good. They fell throughout all of 2015. And the criticism during the campaign was that some of her economic policies lack specificity. Throughout the campaign, she stressed that it's about the economy, it's not about China policy. But come May 20th, she's really going to have to start implementing specific policies, and that covers things like energy and keeping Taiwan businesses investing in Taiwan and not moving offshore, and encouraging multinational companies to invest more here in Taiwan.
And Sally, Ms. Tsai's victory over the weekend giving stocks a slight boost. Investors, though, remain cautious after elections over the weekend swept in a party less friendly to China. And, of course, you have declines in global financial markets. Sally.
Okay, thank you so much, Rico. Good to see you. Now let's mention another story that's very paramount in the UK. Tata Steel is expected to confirm later this morning is cutting more than 1,000 jobs in the UK. About 750 of them are expected to be in Port Talbot in South Wales. The firms announced 1,200 redundancies last year as Tata and many other commodity producers grapple with slumping prices. New figures indicate China's property market is continuing to recover. New home prices in its 70 biggest cities rose for a third straight month by 1.6% year-on-year in December, compared to a rise of 0.9% year-on-year in November. So let's look at financial markets. So much activity over the weekend following the news of the lifting of sanctions against Iran. The price of oil sunk. No big surprise about that at all. A price now hovering above Brent crude, above $28 a barrel, around that mark. But at one point it was $27.67 a barrel. So markets much lower. The yen strengthening. That's hurting Japan. Just to say, the markets in the US, Wall Street will be closed for a public holiday today. It's Martin Luther King Day today, so no action there. But of course, Wall Street had a 2% loss across the board on Friday, so it's expected to be another torrid day for markets as we start a new business week. I will see you soon as we look through the papers.